Welcome to the session. Thanks for booking in. Thanks for your interest and for joining us this morning. And I really hope that this session is useful for you. I will cover everything and then allow space for Q&A at the end. So if you want to put your questions in the chat box, and then I'll look at that at the end. And anything that I don't cover today, I'm really happy to look at those questions and answer them via email afterwards. I will also be recording this session, and I'll send out a recording and I'll send out all my answers to your questions after the session. So with that, let's get into it. If you don't know me, my name is Juba. I've been working in the event management industry for more than 2 decades. I established EventKit, my event agency, back in 2014, and I'm based in Torquay in Victoria, Australia. When COVID hit and everything shut down, I took it as an opportunity to reinvent EventKit. My new direction is less hands-on event management and more information sharing and upskilling others in the event industry to improve events and make it less stressful. And this is part of that focus for me. I'm going to assume that a lot of people in this session don't know much or anything about ChatGPT. So I'll go right back to the beginning just to explain what it is, and then I will show you actually how you can use it. And there's various methods of accessing it and integrating it into your workflow. And why are we all here today? I was thinking about what has brought you all here, and really it's probably because ChatGPT and AI has hit mainstream media and it's moving very fast. And you've probably registered that you need to keep up with it. So hopefully the skills and the information that I give you today will help you keep up with this really fast-paced, changing world. What I'm going to do is start with how to get started, and then best practice approach, how to structure your prompts, and then I will step through those various ways of accessing that I just mentioned. The key takeaway from today is that I don't want you to worry about keeping up with the changes that are no doubt going to happen in the next coming weeks and months, but really to make sure that you focus on having a solid idea of the basics and just how best to use it. So I've introduced myself, and here are a couple of photos, and I thought I would just introduce you to AI as well. So there's me on the left, there's me also in the middle, and there's me on the right. But as you can see, these images don't look quite right, and they really sum up for me my opinion of what AI is. It's really amazing and it's really flawed. These are computer-generated images. They are incredibly accurate. You can see that they look a lot like me, and that was based on me submitting 20 photos to a website, and then it generated 100 different images. And I picked out one of the best, which is on the left, and 2 of the worst for you to see. On the left, I look pretty normal. If you look closely at the middle picture and you look at my arm that's in the grass, AI has actually created this image, but it didn't work out how to do my hand, and it's just created a blurry line. And then if you look at the right-hand image, there's actually 2 arms in that image. It's going to take a lot for it to get to a level that matches kind of human ability and excellence. So it's really nothing to be frightened of. And as you can see in these images, humans are definitely going to be needed to participate in making sure that those errors don't flow through into your work. So getting into what ChatGPT is, I thought that I may as well ask ChatGPT itself. For anyone who's not familiar with using ChatGPT yet, this is what the basic website browser looks like. It's actually super easy for you to access. You just open any browser on any computer and type in chat.openai.com. It brings up a website. You do have to register with your email, but then you can start using it straight away. It came back with a paragraph explaining in quite technical terms that it's a large language model. It's based on GPT 3.5 architecture, etc. That's really confusing. It doesn't really mean a huge amount. So I go back to ChatGPT with a follow-up prompt and say, can you please rephrase this to explain to a person with limited understanding of computers? And then it came back with a much more simple definition. This is kind of ChatGPT in its essence. It's a conversational-based program. It's about language, and the way that the answers are structured are to mimic speech patterns and human-like conversation flow. And that's why it's called ChatGPT. Currently, there are 5 main ways to access ChatGPT. It was launched in about November. Initially, that website was the only way to access it. But within 6 months already, it's been integrated into major search browsers. So ChatGPT is what I just showed you, the web browser. It's a free version. It does get things wrong, and it's quite clunky with its answers. And once you start playing around with it, you'll see that it kind of has a tendency to get a lot wrong. You have to give it a lot of prompts. GPT-4 then came out. It's still not connected to the internet, but it is better at responding to prompts and creating the information and the responses that we're after. Bing, which is owned by Microsoft, has now come out with its own version of ChatGPT. For those who don't understand the difference between Google and Bing, Microsoft owns a search engine, which is Bing, and it sits within its browser, which is the Edge. Getting into what it can do, ChatGPT can basically do anything that a copywriter can do, anything that is language-based, anything that is writing-based. So I've put down a list of ideas that are both event planning and marketing-based. It can write marketing copy, it can write media releases, social media posts, it can summarize content, it can brainstorm ideas, it can create creative concepts and themes, it can produce an outline of an event format, and that can drill down to timing and structure of programs and schedules. It can draft traditional letters and invitations. It can draft event handbooks and manuals and personalized event itineraries or personalized emails along with that event itinerary. It can create surveys, it can compile feedback, it can write you a blog outline, and then it can flesh that blog out with the actual content. And it can also write an outline for a webinar or workshop just like this, which is really incredible. In some ways, a good way to summarize what it can do is that it can turn a single bullet point into a long email. It can also turn a long email into a single bullet point. So it's got this incredible way to use language, manipulate language, and craft language for you. In fact, it's really interesting, not specifically ChatGPT, but AI. When I was pulling together the Eventbrite event booking for today, I've seen they've already included AI in their event description. So it prompted me and said, do you want to use AI for the event description? Of course, I gave it a go. It gave me 3 chunks of paragraph, and I actually decided to keep 2, and then I changed one completely. So think about you reading the event description. Did that flow well for you? Did you even think that it was computer generated? I would say you didn't. And that's the quality of where we're at already, and we're really only 6 months in, which is pretty incredible. But the quality actually does depend on the quality of the prompts that you give ChatGPT. So ChatGPT in of itself is really just a tool. It's not a miracle cure. It doesn't do the work for you. It's just an incredibly responsive and versatile tool. So the best practical principles are that it requires exact and concise prompts and well-structured questions from you. It also requires really specific information and details of what you're looking for. If you put in a very vague, open-ended prompt, it will give you a vague and maybe misguided response, which is actually okay in some circumstances. You can start vague and open-ended if you're not really sure where you want to go. But the whole method of working with ChatGPT is that you then build on that. So the best practice with ChatGPT is to not just start with one question and get one answer, but to start with one prompt and establish the context and then start to ask for what you want. There are lots of limitations for ChatGPT. It is just a resource and a tool. It's not a replacement for you, but I'd say it's a pretty amazing starting point. And it does have limited understanding of context. So there are times when the responses are quite irrelevant or inappropriate. It does lack emotional intelligence. And if you're looking for a response that's really nuanced, or you have really unique situation, then you might find when you're starting to work with ChatGPT that it's actually pretty mainstream and repetitive in its responses. And you'll start to see the patterns of the kind of information that it's being fed. So bear that in mind and think about it more as that starting point for you. It is that starting point tool. It's not the answer to probably where you want to go with writing or an event concept that's really highly personalized and has your language and your tone and your style and personality. One of the ethical questions is we don't know the source of information and ideas presented by ChatGPT. So unlike Google, you put in a question or a prompt, and then it comes out with a list of websites that you're going to reference. And you immediately go to those websites. That's a clear path of source of information. With ChatGPT, it just presents answers to you. So those answers have been sourced from a really wide range of sources, but you actually don't have visibility about what that is. So there's a few things to consider, and I really like this diagram. And I encourage you to think about using it for yourself. Is it safe to use ChatGPT for your tasks? So ask yourself a few questions. Does it matter if the output is true? Well, if it doesn't, great, go for your life, use ChatGPT. If it does matter and you're actually asking for factual and accurate information, then ask yourself, do you have the expertise to verify the information it's giving? If you don't, then think carefully about just regurgitating or cut and pasting information from ChatGPT, because it might actually lead you astray. You might be passing on incorrect information. If you do have the expertise, if you are just using it as a kind of starting point tool, then think about whether you're actually willing to take full responsibility for just cut and pasting that information, or whether you actually need to follow up and verify the information that's coming from ChatGPT. It's a really important thought flow of how to use ChatGPT safely. Now I'm going to jump into how to give a good prompt, what that actually looks like. If you're brainstorming ideas, you can make your prompt as simple as, can you provide some topic ideas for the type of event and demographic who are at this particular skill level? So in this example, you've got a really great opportunity to ask for really specific ideas for a particular type of event, and then you can really drill down on who your demographic is and what their skill level is. When you start to bring in the verbs, then you're starting to really direct ChatGPT with the type of responses that it gives. So a great one to use is act as or you are. Now this brings in the direction to ChatGPT to write in the style or personality or perspective of a particular type of person or a particular demographic or a particular skills person that you want to emulate. For example, you are a job title of a workplace. How would you achieve this particular goal on that platform? So you're really drilling into a whole range of expertise that you don't have to have right from the outset. When you give ChatGPT prompts, you start with a couple of them, you get some answers, you may not be satisfied. So keep going until you are satisfied. Keep digging in until you get the answers and you get the direction that you're really looking for. So you could start with the general, provide me with some topics for the event idea, like I started with, but then you continue, make a list of 5 types of the above that were viral in the past. So now you're saying, I actually want some ideas that were really successful in past marketing campaigns. And now you're saying, well, they were great ideas. Let's give me 10 more. It's an incredibly interactive way to brainstorm and get information from a search engine, really. And then there's the way of fine-tuning your writing to match your voice and engage your readers. So I've given you a series of prompts here that is really about rewriting and refining the answers that you're getting from ChatGPT so that the language and the copy that comes out of it is more and more aligned with exactly what you're looking for. But what we're all really here to see is how it actually works step by step. So I'm going to jump into some live applications and integration of it. So what I'm going to do is step you through the various ways that I am working with ChatGPT. Now, I've already covered that ChatGPT is sitting in chat.openai.com. So that is a simple web browser that you can use in any context, any web browser platform. And the way that it works is you put in your prompt, it comes up with an answer. You put in a follow-up prompt, it comes up with another answer. Now, to continue, I then just had a bit of fun and said, can you rephrase it in the tone of a rap artist? Write out the answer like it is song lyrics. So the answer of what is ChatGPT came back to me in a completely different format, like song lyrics. The beauty of ChatGPT is that it's only limited to your imagination. You can think of really interesting ways to use it. And it's an amazing tool for kicking off creativity and thinking in ways that you've never thought before. Now, I've got a bunch of different prompts that I've done already, and I'll just talk you through them. This is a straight up question. What is something? Give me some answers, give me a definition. And then I had some fun in asking for it to give me that same answer in a different way. In this situation, I asked for copy for my marketing. So suggest a social media post for today, add a source for a picture to match. That's a super general request. Like, which day is it? There's no topic, there's no demographic, there's no business, there's no direction whatsoever. So I thought, what will it come back with? Now, I did that yesterday, and yesterday was Tuesday, and it said happy Saturday. So immediately it's showing me that ChatGPT got it wrong. Imagine if it was Saturday and I just wanted a really generic post for a Saturday. That's a pretty good post. It then gave a recommendation of the kind of picture that I could use for that Saturday. Then I said, can you suggest an image to use? And then I referenced 2 websites that have free to use images. And it came back with the suggestion, which is great. So it said, sure. And then here's a link to an image. And then it actually gave a reference of what it looks like and who it's by, which is quite unusual for information that comes from ChatGPT. Further on the social media posts, I said, social media post. Write an Instagram post connecting the concept of people making a New Year's resolution to improve their lives with the idea that we need to improve our events by making them safer and reducing risks. This was actually a real prompt that I used on the 31st of December for my own event kit business. And I actually used this response. So it came back with this really incredible post saying, Happy New Year. We kick off the year making resolutions to improve our lives, but let's also remember to prioritize safety and reduce risks at events. Amazing segue. I could never have been so succinct. Whether it's a party, concert, or festival, we all have a responsibility to create a safe environment for ourselves. Let's make a resolution to be aware of potential risks at events. Incredible post. I did that in literally seconds. But then I was thinking, how can I tie that relatively generic post into something that's sales oriented for one of my products? I sell an event risk management kit, and I want to link that as part of the post. I said, amend the above. I didn't have to rehash everything from the previous couple of prompts. I just had to say above. Amend the above with a sales oriented encouragement for people to buy the event risk management kit by event kit. Key message is using this product will help them achieve the above. And it's come back with basically the same prompt, but then it's added, an extra bit that's super sales driven, saying by using the event risk management kit, you can ensure that your event's not only fun and memorable, but also safe and secure. So bang, I've got this incredibly time appropriate post for New Year's Eve. It is linking it with events and it's making a sales pitch. And ChatGPT has also included a bunch of hashtags. It saved me a lot of time. But then I wasn't sure about those hashtags. So I said, create 9 relevant hashtags that will attract a high volume of views, because these are relevant hashtags, but are they actually hashtags that are going to get me lots of views? Because that's what I want, because I want to sell lots of products. It came back with actually pretty much the same hashtags. I think that's a good moment to say, well, did ChatGPT already give me amazing hashtags that have a high volume of views, or was it just rehashing because it doesn't know what to give? We don't know the answer. I think this is where my expertise and my thinking needs to come in. And when I look at these, I think they're pretty average. I'm sure I could probably do a bit better than that. Now, moving on to more kind of time-saving ways with ChatGPT, I asked the question, can we automate email responses with ChatGPT and Gmail? And if yes, can you provide the steps? So in this prompt, what I'm showing you is a couple of things. One is the answer to that question. So yes, you can. And this is an incredible way that ChatGPT is going to streamline our work. We are going to eventually link AI with customer service correspondence, and it's going to be so fast and so personalized that people won't even really be aware that the whole process is automated, which is pretty incredible. This one prompt also has given me the steps that helped me actually set this up. Zapier is a platform that connects various programs together. It could be that you set up a mailing list by getting emails via a form, and then Zapier connects those emails over to your mailing list provider. It could be that you get an inquiry from a customer and then Zapier will connect it to your Gmail, which is what it's describing in this situation. And then based on what that customer has said in that initial inquiry, ChatGPT will give a response as though that inquiry has been plugged into ChatGPT. It will put it into your Gmail and then it will send an email back to that customer. Now, incredible opportunities for really basic questions. If you're organizing an event and you're getting the same question 500 times, like what time is the stage program? What do we do with refunds? That kind of thing. This is an incredible way to have really personalized responses. So you can obviously have FAQ, you can have a chatbot, but imagine using this to send a personalized email back to people. I think that this is where AI and ChatGPT really takes our administration to the next level. It's incredible. Moving on, I have used ChatGPT a bit to brainstorm creative concepts. In my first example, I asked for a creative concept. I said, my event planning business provides event management service for a large-scale public outdoor events such as community festivals. We are pitching to a potential client and want to win the tender to offer full service event management design to delivery for their upcoming community event. Their theme is community connection. Can you propose three creative concepts for the community festival that we can pitch? And within seconds, it came back with 3 pretty substantial concepts. One is a trail through kind of an open space, and there'll be various activities, like almost a scavenger hunt, I'm reading it as. And at the end of the trail, you turn in your stamped card and then you can win prizes. Another is a community mosaic, so kind of public art installation that will be interactive and is a great way to promote collaboration and creativity. And the last idea is taste, food that brings the community together, and it's a festival style setup of food trucks and pop-up restaurants. There's nothing out of the ordinary about them. I wouldn't go, wow, they just gave me ideas that I've never seen before and that I couldn't have thought of on my own. But the difference in using ChatGPT is how fast it is. So those responses came back to me within seconds. I then said, reformat the above into a table. And I did give some direction. I wanted the concept in the first row, in the first column, and then the second column having event activity, and then the third being benefits to the community. So I was imagining that I was writing a proposal for funding or for this pitch, and I needed to justify those event concepts with how they actually would benefit the community, because that's my client's priority. And within seconds, it gave me a table. I then said, can you please work further on these ideas now to list the event styling, props and colours in an affordable way. So we're presuming that my client, who is community minded, is not going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend. Within seconds, again, the three concepts come back with event styling and prop ideas that are relevant to each. Now, what I thought I would do for anyone who is not familiar with how fast it can be, I'm going to show you how fast the response comes back. Let's say we like those three ideas, we're going to put them into our proposal. I've now asked for an indicative budget for each concept. Let's present it in a table format. Oh, and just like that, it's come up with a bunch of figures. It has not put it into the table, which is really annoying. It has divided it according to each concept. But when I was thinking about the event that I was asking about, I was thinking about a community festival. I was thinking there would be at minimum 1,000 people. And if you look at the numbers that they've put there, they're going for a total spend of 400, 500. So this is a really good example of where my prompt has not got a good result. And I would say that's because of the quality or the lack thereof of my prompt. So I really need to guide ChatGPT to provide an indicative budget for an event that will have 1,000 people, or for an event that has 3 stages and 1,000 people, and providing a lot more guidance for the kind of scope of my event. I made a lot of assumptions and it was still really broad. So I think in a way, the ChatGPT has let us down with this response, but that shows you how the quality of prompts is really important. Now, jumping over to another event query that I gave, it was about a conference program. I said, create a conference schedule with the following. We know that it's a 2-day conference. We'll have a gala dinner. We're having all-day sessions. We're having plenary sessions. And that I gave a little bit of context on the client. I said that they're a large internet provider. I did say the attendance was up to 2,000. I gave the objective, which is that it's the annual kickoff. It has team building and that it's inspiring our employees. And then I said something about the sessions, but let's say I don't really know what my client wants for sessions. I just said presentation of KPIs, few industry topics and annual targets. And I said present in a table. A lot of information in that prompt, really structured, pretty concise, not much waffle. And instantly it came back with a table and a really clear breakdown of what each session or part of the structure of the day would look like, including, in this session, we bring an industry expert. And then in this section, we bring a marketing expert, because we're going to be focusing on marketing for that session. It's really an incredible way to start your thinking. I would then have a look at this and go, well, it's pretty generic, but it did it in seconds. And I now have a table ready to go. It's already done the calculations of time. I can't tell you how many times I've, had to count back and think, how many, am I allowing for a half an hour break, changeover? Oh, has the timing worked? ChatGPT has just done it for me. It's incredible. And it's for 2 days. Building on that, similar to the other one, I said suggest 2 themes for the gala event and add a few ideas for props and styling. And these ideas are pretty generic again, but that's because my prompt was really generic. I didn't give any guidance about the kind of event that I wanted it to provide. So I would say, in terms of a response, this is a really great starting point. And I'll then work on that to say, well, do I actually like these concepts and do I want to build on them? In this situation, I'll show you another quick response. Let's say I do like those ideas and I want to write an email presenting the above schedule and gala themes to my client. So I've said use a professional tone and include descriptive words that will engage the client so they feel excited about the concepts presented to them. And just like that, got a pretty long email, but I guess it is a presentation email. So it's, really nicely worded. It's great pleasure that we invite you to, you know what? It's funny. See, this is an interesting, ChatGPT is as wonderful as it's flawed. ChatGPT has mistaken the purpose of this invitation with an invitation to attend the event, plus it's a letter to the client explaining the event, if you can see that. So once again, you would never just go, yep, that looks good, cut and paste, put it into your email. It's really about either working in ChatGPT and continually refining it or using it as your starting point. So moving on to some more marketing, I asked for marketing collateral for an event. Now, this first prompt you'll see, I've asked for what I'm looking for, but then I've added in an extra line which says, don't answer yet, context will be given next. So this is a really great way to work with ChatGPT if you want to set the context for the prompt that you're asking, but you then need time to actually set more context of the actual content that you're looking for. In chat style, it's responded and said, sure, I'll be happy to help you. Let me know some more details. And what's great about this is that it's actually asked for the information that it wants. This is a really good example of how ChatGPT can lead you to giving the right prompt to get the information that you need. Well, I've then continued with a real event that we worked on earlier this year. I said what the event is. I've said the date. I've said how many people attended. I said the times. I said who owned the event. In each of the points that I just talked about, they're all kind of short and sharp. And so they're really, again, concise and to the point. And then I've given the direction. Please write a summary, 50 words, a description for the website, a media release, and a social media post. So let's say this is the suite of basic marketing material that I want for this event. Once again, this is a lot of information, but it's also not much. It's a couple of lines. In seconds, it came back with a summary and then a beefier description and then a full media release. It's also taken the liberty of including a quote, which actually is pretty great. Their breathtaking performance is sure to be a highlight of the day and a wonderful representation of the diverse cultures that make up our community. Now, great quote. Think I'll keep it, but there is no director called Jane Smith, so I'm going to have to change that. And I'm also going to have to talk to our real director to see if she's happy with that quote before I send it out, obviously. Once again, there is a lot of human involvement in using ChatGPT, but wow, this is an incredible starting point for writing a media release that is not my core business and not my strength. And then at the end of it all, bang, I've got a save the date social media post ready to go that captures all that information. And I can even shorten it define the above social media post to a Twitter link post. And it's shortened it so that I can put it into Twitter. These are incredible ways. They're varied ways and they're kind of flawed ways of using ChatGPT, but I have absolutely started using it kind of regularly as a starting point for a lot of my work, particularly marketing. But in terms of creative work, it's really great when you're just looking at a blank page and you're just thinking, where do I start? And the second you put in a bit of information and it comes back with kind of generic answers, I guess it almost shows you where you want to diverge from that and how you want to make it even more personalized and more appropriate for what you're looking for. Now, what I'm going to show you is where ChatGPT is now in other programs. So you can continue to work on their own website, but it's really incredible to see it integrated. I've been working on how I can get ChatGPT into my workflow in other ways, and I have integrated it into my Google via Chrome. I'm using the Chrome browser, and I'm in just a standard Google page. I do a search. Let's say, what is an event brief? Here are all the answers that you're used to, but look to the right. I have now integrated ChatGPT so that it shows up within my Google search, which is an incredible addition. I get the normal responses on the left, and then I get a quick answer on the right. And just like the ChatGPT that we were looking at before, I can continue a conversation in this browser. I've asked, what is an event brief? Provide an outline of the key headings of the event brief. And unlike Google, it continues and it starts to give me the actual information. If you're interested in integrating ChatGPT into your browser, you will need to have Chrome, and then you do a search for an extension called ChatGPT for Chrome. See where my cursor is at the top here, there's a little jigsaw. When you're in Chrome, it's extensions, and you click on extensions and then manage extensions, and it will take you to a page full of extensions, and then you just click on the hamburger over to the left, and then you open the Chrome Web Store. You probably could just go straight into the Chrome Web Store. And then when you go into the store, it looks like this, and you search for ChatGPT. It looks like there are a few plugins at the moment. ChatGPT for Chrome is the one that I've been using. And this is how it shows up. That is bringing ChatGPT into your Chrome browser, aside next to Google. Now, Microsoft is talking about bringing ChatGPT into its Microsoft Office suite of Word and Excel. That hasn't yet happened. I'm sure it's going to be 5 minutes away. But until then, if you really want it into your kind of Excel sheets or Word docs, you can do it via Google Sheets. The way that it works, it kind of is next level. It's not as straightforward as just typing in a question. It is along the lines of an Excel formula. So what's listed here is the way that you work with ChatGPT in Excel. And you can get a copy of all this information. I'll show you how. So here, here are all the different formulas. This is what it looks like. A basic example, here is a prompt, write a tagline for an ice cream shop. You put in the GPT formula, which feeds into B17, and then it comes out with your answer. There's your tagline. It's pretty incredible. You can do all sorts of things in your Excel document. If you want more than one answer, list 5 possible I never know how to say that, and questions. And then I've said the value is avoiding SMS fraud. I put in the formula, and then here are the answers. Incredible. We've got copywriting, we've got items. You can put in a bunch of items, and then if you've asked ChatGPT to give a description, and it will continue with the description. It's really, really incredible. Summarizing information, you can put in a bunch of information into your cells, and then in column E, you can see that it's just got dot point or numbered. This is how fast it can be. If you've got a bunch of names from a mailing list, you can clean them up, and it will be as quick as that. Same with the emails. Can't tell you how many times I've gone through and manually deleted all that extra information. And then bang, you've got clean emails. Here's the list of fruit that I was just showing you. All right, I'll leave it at that. If you're interested in getting that into your Google Sheets, what you need to look for is GPT for Sheets and Docs. So jumping back into a sheet, go up to extensions, add-ons, get add-ons, and it will take you to the Google Workplace Marketplace. You do a search, and you can do a search for GPT for Sheets, and you'll see there's a few options, but I really like this for Sheets and Docs version. Have a look for that little symbol. And the reason I like it is because it actually comes with the template that I was showing you. This is all ready to go, which means that it's really easy for you to learn how to use these prompts, particularly because this is not just putting in a regular prompt with words, but you're actually using Excel kind of formulas. It also comes with a really straightforward installation guide of how to install it, and then how to actually start working with those two options. And then finally, I'm going to show you Bing. Microsoft has partnered with ChatGPT, and it has incorporated it into Bing, the rival for Google. And the way that you use ChatGPT in Bing is by using the operating, the browser? Is it the browser? Microsoft's Edge. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Just one sec. I just jumped out of Chrome, and I'm now in Edge, and I've just gone into Bing, bing.com. And this is what the new Bing looks like. And the reason I'm showing it to you is because it kind of takes ChatGPT to the next level. I've only done a little bit of playing around with it so far. It has 3 different styles of asking ChatGPT questions. It has a more creative, a more balanced, and more precise response. Now, I didn't really know what that meant. So I said, explain the difference in conversation styles with ChatGPT. And it explains what you're looking at while we're waiting for the answer. What you're looking at is a chat box on the side, which is similar to what we were looking at in Google before. Plus, you can look at it in the browser on the left, which is similar to the initial ChatGPT that I was showing you. And this explains the difference. They seem to be ways that ChatGPT will respond. So creative generates longer, more imaginative answers, whereas the precise is shorter and more factual answers. I can imagine that there are times when you actually are looking for really specific factual information, then you'll go for the precise. Whereas if we're brainstorming and we're creating concepts, then I would be happy to sit in creative mode and actually get some really good answers from ChatGPT. But I imagine it's the kind of thing that you probably have to play around with to actually see where it lands, the kind of information. Now, one thing I'm going to show you is see the answers that it gave you. Unlike ChatGPT that we were initially looking at, it's coming with references, which is a huge step forward. They're in the answer. You can hover over and actually click directly to the reference, or you can go down here and see a bunch of the references that are informing the entire answer. This is a really different way to work with ChatGPT, and it overrides some of the limitations that we had before where you're not knowing where the information is coming from. Once you're in Microsoft's Edge and using Bing, what I found interesting was that when you change tabs, so I've done a search for EventKit, I've come up in the regular listing, plus the regular listing that you normally see in a search engine comes up. This same chat box stays on the side. You can carry that over to your different pages, which is a really interesting way to kind of have ChatGPT on the go with your search engine as well. If you want to start a new chat, you just wipe it away. And then you're back to where you were. And that's it. I hope that I gave you some useful bits of information and insight into how to use ChatGPT, various ways. Like I said, I will send the recording out so that you can work out how you want to use it and then integrate it either into your Sheets or into your Google browser if you prefer to just stay there, or just take a stab and start using Bing over at Microsoft Edge. If you have questions, please put them into the chat. I will send out the recording. And like I said at the very beginning, I think the main takeaway is don't worry about trying to keep up with the changes. It's all moving so fast. I'm learning every time I jump on, and I'm certainly not an expert. But the main thing for me is that I want to feel comfortable enough that I kind of know how to create prompts. I know how to get the information that I need. And I also am not surprised the next time there's a major iteration and we suddenly find that ChatGPT is everywhere and that AI is everywhere. The main point is just not to be kind of frightened of it and to maybe be a bit excited, but also to be really cautious and skeptical of it all at once. That's my takeaway from it. And yeah, thanks for joining me, everyone. All right, you go and enjoy your day in the real world and stay away from the computer. Thanks, everyone.